live. I'm excited today. First, I want to thank everybody in the studio. I want to thank everyone at kvar.com. And I want to thank everybody who helped produce this. Q, Marcy, everybody in the studio. I have an awesome guest today. I am super excited about. This is a young woman who is absolutely kind of bursting onto the jiu-jitsu scene, doing a lot of really cool stuff, and trains with some amazing hitters and coaches out there, and was just recently in Vegas. I'm so excited to have you. I have Danielle Kelly, the one and only Danielle Kelly, BJJ. Doo-doo-doo. So I do this all the time. So I'm really excited to have you, because you're one of those people that has just kind of come onto the scene in a way that you're not afraid to grapple with dudes. You're not afraid to grapple with anybody a belt above you, 2 belts above you, 5 belts above you. You're just getting out there and you're mixing it up, and it's amazing. It's fun to watch, and you're just, kind of really enjoying it, it seems. So what has it been like, and what's the journey been like, especially recently? Because we're going to go back, but what's it been like recently, kind of as you've come into your own and you're starting to travel and really hit the scene hard?
Yeah. Well, this year I've actually traveled like the most, unlike my other years in jiu-jitsu. I think after the EBI, Lenny Bravo invited me to his show, his tournament, sorry, a year ago. That really like put me out there. That really put my name out there. I didn't do so well during the EBI 115-pound tournament. I think I could have done better, but I was so nervous. I wasn't as comfortable as I am now. To compare my matches from EBI from a year ago to like a year ago this month to like my recent match with Cynthia, it's like a total different Danielle. Just from that, like after EBI, I competed for ADCC. I competed for other tournaments coming up and super fights. I fought like other girls who were like champions at IBJJF level. I submitted them all, and just seeing like how my jiu-jitsu like has gotten so much better, and I'm like a better team. Like I'm, all the Henzo, and so it's really, really gave me like a lot of confidence, and like just being invited to Quintet, especially my original match was with Pearl, but being invited to perform on that stage was very like a shocking and exciting moment for me, and I got to display women's jiu-jitsu on that stage, and I got the quick submission against her, so that felt really good. Definitely a long, hard journey to get where I am today. But yeah, it was a great feeling, and just seeing how much hard work I've done.
It's got to be kind of serendipitous for you, because you've kind of, just like you said, you've traveled this past year, you've managed to hit the ground running and have some of your biggest successes as the year's gone on. And it was really, a byproduct of all the hard work. Like you said, you train at Henzo, you train with some real hitters and killers in there. A lot of friends of mine talk about that gym, and they talk about how there's everyday people going in there, and they're absolutely cutting people up and decimating people you don't know anything about.
Yep.
So it has to be a lot of fun to be training at that level with those types of folks, and getting the opportunity to kind of be around the best and brightest in the jiu-jitsu game right now.
For sure.
It's one of those things too, coming to Vegas. It has to be a lot of fun to start to compete here in, what I consider kind of the mecca between here, Henzo, and New York, and Miami has a really great jiu-jitsu culture, but it has to be a lot of fun to be starting to get to Vegas and get on the UFC, Fight Pass stuff, and start to get the opportunity to compete on a higher level and get a lot of eyeballs on and get to see what you're doing and how you're doing it.
For sure.
Now, how did this begin, and what made you want to be this jiu-jitsu badass?
How did it begin? So I started my first jiu-jitsu class back in 2007. I'm going to say around November or like December. It was like at the end of the year. During that time, like I was getting bullied a lot. So, I wanted to this is when like Gina Carano was like fighting, and I always wanted to be like her, and I was trying to get into like some kind of martial arts. And I was begging my parents, like, Mom, Dad, like I'm getting bullied, like I need to learn how to fight. And one day, like the school was like opening up, like down the street from me, and I met the coach there with my mom, and she was very desperate for me to like get like some kind of self defense, because like me getting bullied was getting so bad. Like I had girls following me from school. It just got really bad. So anyway, later on, I got introduced to jiu-jitsu because, he wanted me to work on my ground game first. And I'm like, I was still a kid, so I was like, this isn't punching stuff. This is stupid. So gay. Blah blah blah. So then, like, maybe 3 months after I started my first class, he made me do like a jiu-jitsu tournament, and I had like 3-4 matches, and I submitted all these girls. Like my first tournament ever, got first place, and then I guess the president of that tournament or whoever was running it thought I was cheating, and he put me like the expert, and I took third. So I just fell in love with it ever since. I love competing.
Now, you have to kind of be excited because you not only, as we said, get to train with the best, but you're competing, as you just said, at a high level as well, and performing
Mm-hmm.
and doing really well. Where does that come from inside? Is that a Danaher byproduct? Is that something that you always had
No,
in you?
I've always had it in me. Like I'm just very competitive. I think I'm crazy when it comes to like being competitive. I don't know. I always want to win. I think I could do better. And then I think I could do better than what my last performance was. I always I like challenges
Are you at
and
that?
winning.
Of course. Are you at that, stage of the game where people don't really understand what it is you're doing? Because it's always hard when you get into something like a
Yeah.
jujitsu where, whether it's friends or maybe, extended
My
family.
friends now, like, they understand now. I think my family, I mean, I don't want to talk to them, but I think they're still, like, confused at what I do because they're still, like, old school, like, oh, like, women shouldn't be doing that stuff. I mean, I don't really care about their opinion. But yeah, my friends are starting to get, like, used to it. They come to my matches whenever I'm local. They watch me. It's a good feeling because it's, jiu-jitsu is growing, and, like, especially for women, like, it's becoming more normal. Well, it's still like dominated by men, but it's still women are starting to coming to jiu-jitsu.
Now, you said it's dominated by men, but you've grappled with a bunch of men.
Yeah.
What makes you want
Well,
to do
I've
that?
also well, so my first coach, he when I started jiu-jitsu first, I always get mixed up like if I started wrestling or jiu-jitsu first. I started jiu-jitsu first, like for 5 months or 6 months, and then my coach at the time was telling me I should get into wrestling because, there was guys like boys there at my age, like they had wrestling backgrounds. So I would get taken down, lose my points, whatever. So I got talked into doing wrestling, and ever since I was going against boys in middle school, and then here like at the time tournaments would put girls. If there's like no one in my weight class, I would just go against the guys. So I ended up doing that for a couple years, and I didn't do too bad. Submitted some and lost to some. I think it definitely helped my game out a lot in my training because, I definitely give guys like today some trouble, and it
Now,
gives me a lot of confidence.
now, what is it about going up against the guys that gets you excited? Is it that you want to show them you can do it? Because
It's not like really. I'm not proving anything. It's just like I think the way I was brought up. I think I done a little better because like I was very spazzy. Going against the guys, like some of them, will try to really like hurt you. Like some of them have to like prove a point. So it feels good to like kind of so it feels good to like kind of how do I say it? I wouldn't say put in their place, but like you can basically tell me you'll submit this shit. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Some of them kind of need it. But then there's a lot of them that respect that like work with me that like they'll like let me get something, and then they'll let me work on some things. They give me trouble. I have really good teammates today.
And yeah, I mean, I have to imagine some of them will give you a position and then
Not
they're
only
like,
that, I think like rolling training with guys has helped my jiu-jitsu way more. Because like when I started jiu-jitsu, like women and girls, there was not that many. So I definitely give guys props. I think that's why my jiu-jitsu is really good today.
yeah, and there's no doubt. Now, it started, as you said, as something you got into because of bullying. Is that still something that is near and dear to your heart? Do you feel like, when you see someone else getting bullied or people come to the gym to train, is that something that hits home for you and you kind of take the people under your wing, whether it's male or female?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does. Cause like, you know, they were once in my shoes. So, you know, I want them to, you know, if I know of kids getting bullied, like I want to like teach them. I want them to like understand like what I had to go through. I don't stick with jujitsu because of that reason anymore. Like, you know, like my parents got me into jujitsu, and unfortunately they're not around anymore. So, you know, just being in a sport always reminds me of them, and it wants me to like do better for them, especially.
Of course, and that has to be difficult. I read that about you, and that has to be a very difficult journey to be, kind of going at it,
Yeah.
without them. And that's something that really kind of caught my eye about you. And, it's not easy. It's hard enough getting into something that people don't quite understand
Yep.
because jujitsu is still in that place. And, it's hard to explain it bad enough to family members, let alone parents. But I can imagine, it has to be incredibly difficult to compete and not have those folks, your folks behind you.
For sure. Yeah. You know, like when my dad was still around, like, he was very, like, whenever I would get done a tournament, like, I'll come home. I miss the times where I would tell him, like, hey, Dad, like, I won my tournament. Like, you know, you want to see my matches. And, you know, just not really having that anymore kind of, like, you know, sometimes takes a toll. I learned to work with it now, but it still hurts, you know.
Of course, there's no doubt. It can't be easy, but you do it with such style, and it's amazing because I watched a bunch of your matches, and you seem like you genuinely do enjoy the grind. And I asked Nikki the same thing, and Gordon, is it because Danaher, is he instilled that in you, or is it something that you just love? Were you getting up every day before jujitsu and like training in the gym? Where does it start?
Um, it it started like I mean, I wasn't really trained with Danaher until like 2014 or 15. Yeah, I give him a lot of credit. Like he's a good coach, but I wouldn't really say that he, you know, puts an impact on me. You know, I think that I get this from like my dad. My dad always made me work hard. My dad always made me, you know, every before school, like he would make me lift. He would make me get up early. You know, because he always told me like your opponents at a time were like doing better. They're working harder. You know, everyone loses.
Mm.
Just ingrained to me to like, you know, work harder. So, you know, that stuck with me. And then, you know, I always wanted to work hard for my dad. So, um, yeah, I would say I definitely get it from my dad more.
Now, a lot of people don't know a lot about you're from the Northeast. You train up in New York at Henzo. What ethnicity, what background are you, and how has that shaped you and helped mold you?
My ethnicity,
Yeah,
like, what's like, sorry, I'm a little confused.
like Italian, Spanish, Brazilian.
Oh, that's what I figured. I'm like part Italian, Irish, German. Um, like, well, I grew up in like Philadelphia, so I mean, I grew up like in the city of Philly, so definitely kind of bad. It's like, you know, you're the only white girl in the neighborhood and
Of
going to
course.
school. Um, yeah, that wasn't sometimes it was fun. Like I had a lot of friends before I moved. Then like when I was starting to get bullied, like, you know, I think most of them I was just a little 70-pound little white girl, you know, like I was like an easy target for some of these girls. So, you know, once I started to like learn jiu-jitsu and learn how to defend myself, I started getting street fights. So
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm getting at. I mean, growing up you're right out, outside the city, growing up that
yeah,
way and being involved in jiu-jitsu, it's obviously it's such a culture rich sport. You have
very,
the
yeah.
Brazilians on one side, and then it's really just the rest
I
of
think it
us.
definitely. I think the whole like Brazilian thing. I think it kind of toned down a bit. I think there's like, you know, a lot of them are respectful, and then you have those who are like super like, you know, they're all about their country, and it's like, all right, cool, like, you know, Team USA.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I think no doubt
think people take too serious about it, like with those things.
yeah, I mean, I think that absolutely that, guys like Gordon and people are starting to break those walls down because a
For
lot of
sure,
the US based
as they should,
yeah,
you know.
And I talked briefly about what Gordon about that. I think that what he's doing is amazing in many ways, and he's just putting people on notice and having them recognize that, hey, you know, we got some really great grapplers and BJJ guys here, and you know, it's changing the game, and it's not easy to do. You're going to always be up against detractors. You're going to always be up against haters. You're going to always be up against people
sure.
that have something to say. How has that been for you, dealing with haters or dealing with people that just always have something to say?
So, I mean, I don't like to think I have, like, you know, quote unquote haters. But I definitely have friends, you know, I would have a fair share of, like, few girls, you know how girls are. They all talk a lot. And I kind of was dealing with that, like, you know, at Henzo's, you know, just not to put too much info out there. It's just, you know, they seem like very, like, you're doing better. If you're, like, as a competitor, you know, they feel some type of way. You know, just how I am, my personality, like, I don't care who you are. Like, as long as you respect me, that's fine. I'm not kissing anyone's ass. You know, I'll go against anybody. That's always been my motive, when competing and when training. You know, I think some girls take it too serious. Like, you know, as a competitor, like, they take it too much. They take it to the heart. Like, you know, I don't know how to explain it. I thought it was, like, maybe just like a few, nothing too serious.
There's always,
you know, some people just don't want, some people don't want to see you doing good. That's just one of those things.
And that's something, Danielle, you're going to deal with for a very long time. Unfortunately, if you experience success, there's always going to be people, whether it's trying to cast shade, whether it's trying to, you know,
Exactly.
you're going to always come across that. And success is always going to breed some level of professional jealousy, and people are going to look at you differently, and they're going to see you differently, and you go through that
for sure. Honestly, I think, like, taking that energy and, like, you know, after my first or 3 losses of this year, beginning of the year, you know, I kind of started working harder and put all that frustration towards my training, and I ended up, you know, doing really good. So, you know, maybe I'll meet them on the mats again, get some revenge.
Of course.
You know, that's what motivates me. So hopefully that happens.
Who are some of the fighters and grapplers you look up to?
So I definitely look up, like, to Gordon. I definitely look up to Eddie Cummings. You know, unfortunately, he doesn't seem to be competing a lot anymore. But, like, I've actually witnessed him, like, kind of rising up when he was with Danaher at the time. I like to relate my jiu-jitsu, compare my jiu-jitsu with his, where I'm trying to, because, you know, he's super good. He's a light guy defeating, like, all these big guys. Yeah, I think I would say I look up probably more to Eddie Cummings. There's definitely more. I mean, I looked up to John Jacques Machado before. A lot of old school guys. Marcelo Garcia. Probably, like, the 4 main guys.
Yeah, those are all.
I would say Marcelo is probably my number one, because I think I was starting to watch his stuff when I got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, those are all great choices. I mean, you can't go wrong with any one of them, especially Jean Jacques, which, me training at 10th Planet, I come from that lineage.
Yeah. I used to watch his, like, old school ADCC matches. Like, his ground game was just awesome.
Now,
ground game.
If you could have a dream matchup with somebody, who would it be?
Like, fight them?
Fight or grapple?
Oh, grapple. Oh, I was a big grapple. Matchup. Probably the EBI strawweight champion. Definitely her. I wouldn't mind going against her. I mean, she's probably the same weight class, so that's going to happen soon. Dream matchup. I mean, I don't know. Probably just the one. Only meeting Mackenzie Dern. Definitely Mackenzie Dern.
Okay.
that would be really cool. She's a little heavier than me, but.
Now, where does it go for you? Where do you want the next step to be? What do you want 2020 to look like and beyond?
Winning everything in jiu-jitsu. You know, a lot of people are talking, you know, after my Quintet match, they were saying, like, they don't know if I'll be in MMA. You know, I never really put any thought into that. You know, I want to make waves in jiu-jitsu first, you know, put my name out there, kind of like how Mackenzie did it. And then, you know, maybe eventually I'll do, like, one fight or two and see where it goes from there. But, you know, I kind of just go with the flow.
Now, you could definitely, no doubt, make the transition and probably be a star in the
Yeah,
UFC in very short notice. But similar to when I spoke with Nikki, it's about kind of taking your time and really
for
mastering your
sure.
craft
100%.
right now and getting to a place where you feel really comfortable, not just with your jujitsu, but just with your game as a whole, and not
For sure.
rushing it. You have
100% right.
yeah, you have you have plenty of time ahead of you to develop out not just your game, but also everything else, your business, your life. And that's something I like to talk about a lot of times with the fighters and with the folks I have on and shooters and everybody else. Are you taking steps, and are you starting to get your business in order and in the back end of kind of everything that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's some moves that we're making, but I don't want to put anything out there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But
So
it's
just
important because there's so many
for
fighters,
sure, it's
as you
good to
know.
have a backup plan
Yeah.
always.
And so many fighters come along and don't have a plan, or don't have a scenario
Agree.
where they're kind of figuring out what the next steps are. And one of the first things Gordon said to me, he goes, "Man, I want to make sure I can pay my rent, and I want to make sure I can, so you have to kind of
Agree.
always
Yeah.
make sure you're putting a plan together and making sure that you're taking the steps to execute that plan. And hopefully, I know you got great folks, great people around you, but you want to make sure that you always have, the circle's tight.
Yep.
And how important is circle to you?
Very important. I think people you surround yourself with is super important. I mean, I can definitely compare from a few years ago to now. Like people I was surrounded with a couple years ago was definitely not doing so well. So yeah, I definitely believe it's people you surround yourself with that makes you.
100%. Now, do you have any idea what you want? Is jujitsu something that you see yourself doing into your 30s and 40s, or do you see yourself
Oh yeah,
being an
yes.
accountant? you know
I definitely jujitsu will definitely be something in my life for the rest of my life. Hopefully, maybe it'll be like a side thing, make side money with if I do really good with it. There's definitely like a lot of things up in the air. I'm kind of taking it step by step for now.
Of course, and I have to imagine you're getting a lot of different stuff thrown at you. Now, I was going to bring up Quintet, but it was one of those fights that you disposed of your opponent pretty quickly. Is that something that you enjoy, or would you rather be going? I mean, I know you had an opponent have to bow
Yeah.
out in the last minute, but is that something you enjoy, finishing quickly, or do you enjoy kind of the long, grueling matches and kind of going up against someone that pushes
To be
you?
honest, I'm pretty happy when fast, but I think what motivated me more was before I got Cynthia, I had Pearl. I was super like excited for that matchup because people were trolling me. I was getting random, like I felt famous for a second because I would get trolls like, "Oh, Pearl's gonna break your arm," and then people tag me in it and then like writing her thing like break her arm because her match before she had like a tournament before and she broke some girl's arm. So I was very excited for that, like, "Oh, you're gonna break my arm, okay." We'll see about that.
Right.
But unfortunately, she got injured, so I was like, "Shit, that's not fair." Then the matchmaker was very hard at work, and he got me an opponent really fast. Someone bigger name, and she defeated Pearl years ago. So I knew it was gonna be like a similar matchup. But they're coming into my world, so they're gonna lose.
Do you enjoy those types of matches where you're getting the opportunity to go up against some people possibly with UFC experience and things like that?
Oh yeah, I do. If they had put me against Joanna or like Valentino, I would so take it because it's easy money and they're not punching me in the face. So
yeah, I love what they're doing with that program, and I think what the UFC and how they're building out their content, and really that's what it is at the end of the day. It's content, right? So they're getting these fighters together and they're bringing in, like, I see.
I'm just surprised they called me in. There's a lot of girls in jiu-jitsu right now, and they wanted me in the show, so I was like, okay. So it was very exciting.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go, and bring some of these people in that, kind of what we saw with Nikki and Luke, and seeing what Gordon's doing with some of the wrestlers, the top level wrestlers. I think that's the right step. And I think for you guys, it puts a lot of spotlight and shine on you guys, and it gives you the opportunity to share the stage with someone who is known for something else. So they're stepping into your world, as you said, but you're also getting an opportunity to step into their world because the lights are a little bit brighter, the stage is a little bit bigger, and they're used
For
to
sure.
that. So it's a lot of fun to see play out. And at the end of the day, I was explaining this to someone. They were like, geez, this is really cool. You know, this is crazy. And I said, at the end of the day, it's just content. You know, they have to build out this whole ESPN
Oh, yeah, I
Plus
agree.
thing and this UFC Pass thing and everything else. They have to
Yeah,
put content.
For sure. After me and Cynthia's match, like, I think I got like a lot of following, you know, people reaching out to me. They were surprised, like, I've defeated her in so many seconds, you know. It definitely puts a lot of light onto it. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's the right way to go. And I think, you know, for you guys, you know, where there've been a lot of mistakes made in the past in terms of tournament structure and how things are done, I think this is going to be something that, you know, is better for you guys. It's not that standard tournament type approach. It gives you guys a bigger platform, a bigger opportunity, and it gives you a shot to kind of get out in front of the lights a little bit and showcase what you're doing. If you were to you know, selfishly, I throw this at the fighters, like what I would like to see for a matchup. I would love to see like you and like a you know, like a Thug Rose type match. I think that would be amazing.
Oh yeah, I would totally take that match.
You know, something.
She's her jiu-jitsu is not that bad, especially for MMA.
Of course. And I think, you know, there's stuff like that, you know, I selfishly kind of say, geez, I'd love to see this, or geez, that would be really cool. Is there someone on the roster right now in the top 5 or 10 that you're like, geez, you know, that would be a lot of fun?
Definitely Rose. Probably the Zhang chick. You know, she seems very well rounded. Honestly, anyone they put in front of me, if they ask me to go against any of those top 5, 115, 125, I would just say yeah. I would say yes.
You know, I say I say Rose, but I know she's still in the mix. Michelle Watterson would be another one that would come to mind, but I don't know what her jiu-jitsu game's like.
Yeah, I would totally go against her.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
And I think this gives guys, you know, I was talking about this with Nikki. I think this gives, you know, folks an opportunity that are stepping out of the UFC ring, like we saw with Luke Rockhold, to kind of start to do something else and still compete and still participate. So there's a lot of people out there that might be in semi-retirement mode or retirement mode, and they could be looking at opportunities like this. So there's probably a lot of ladies lurking in the weeds that could create some great opportunity for you.
Yeah, I agree. And then I also told them, like, the UFC Fight Pass people, I was like, you know, if like Amanda Nunes wanted to come into the grappling world, like, I would totally go against her too, you know?
Of course.
I'm going against anyone at this point.
Of course. And that's the right attitude to have. I mean, you know, to want to go up against the best and participate against the best. But we all kind of always fantasize about a dream matchup or something that, you know, we would love to see. And I think, you know, this platform and the ability to do this is going to give a lot of you grapplers and practitioners the opportunity to get in front of people that you may not have had the opportunity in the past, because a lot of those doors were closed. You know, they weren't available. But now with the ability, you know, they have to put this content out there. They have to deliver on so many of these different fights, like Quintet and everything else the UFC has going on. It's a tremendous opportunity, and it has to get you really excited. Does it make you want to consider even potentially moving to like a Vegas or somewhere closer to train and participate even more?
I mean, I would participate, but I don't know if I would, you know, move to Vegas. Yeah, I feel like that's a little too far. I think, well, if they wanted to compete, I think they would have just, you know, kind of just flew over there, and then, you know, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that a lot of the opportunities probably initially going to run through Vegas, but in time, yeah, who knows where it'll go and what'll happen. But I think,
who knows? They might put it in New York, like New York's big. They do a lot of events there. Then in Vegas, like you said. I think as the years go by, I think it'll definitely grow.
And they'll just keep creating more and more opportunity. Now, we talked about the future. We talked a little bit about the past. I want to ask you, you know, when you're training and you're, you know, developing your craft and getting better every single week, are you doing weights too? Are you eating to meet a certain weight? Are you, you know, how much do you struggle with all those different things, and what goes into your training?
So I would probably call it the Gary Tonin diet. You know, he kind of just eats everything. Just kidding. I kind of, you know, I don't want to say I eat the healthiest because obviously I wish I could live off Chick-fil-A. You know, I just started lifting a little bit. I think lifting weights was I think strength was definitely my weakness because I kind of get overpowered, and you know, I think that's definitely one of my weaknesses. So I think just lifting now and like, you know, just training jiu-jitsu, I think, you know, those two definitely helps out a lot. I definitely don't think you should, you know, don't lose your training for jiu-jitsu. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
I kind of like lost track of
no,
this.
there's no doubt you're crushing calories with the amount of training you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, I love food. I love
Yeah.
eating junk food.
So,
So, you
so
know, I'm probably the saddest person to ask. But you know, I'm getting a little better. But right now, you know, I just chowed down Chick-fil-A. Ugh.
now you can get away with that for so long, you know, your body's just going to burn it,
Yep.
and you're going to be able to just, you know, choke down as many calories as you can. And
You know,
that's
it's crazy because like in high school, I was like 125. Like that's what I walked around at, and I was wrestling, so I was a little bulky. And then like, you know, after high school, I kind of like lost all that weight, and now I'm walking between 110, 115, 117, 114. You know, just eating whatever I want. You know, I mean, I still put in effort eating clean, but you know, I think I could do better. And I think, you know, once I start doing that, I think my body will definitely be where it has to be.
is there a particular weight you have your eye on consistently?
Um, I definitely want to go to 105. You know, I think, you know, it's just hard. Like, there's only so many girls at my weight class, like that low weight class to compete with. You know, like with me and Cynthia's match, it was only at 125. And when Pearl was still competing against me, I wanted to match at 115, 20, and you know, they wouldn't do that. So they're like, it's hard to get women it's harder for people to find women my size to compete with, you know?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it has to get difficult. Now, do you feel as these super fights start to grow, you're going to back off from maybe some of the IBJJF stuff or EBI stuff, or
Oh
are you
yeah,
going to
for
stick?
sure. For sure. You know, I was supposed to do Noki Worlds this past weekend, during the Quintet is the same weekend. And once I got the call about potentially fighting Pearl, I was like, you know what? Screw Worlds.
Yeah, no, there's a better opportunity for you for sure. There's no doubt.
And
Um,
plus, like, if I want to go against the girls who won my division, I'll just ask for a super fight or something, you know?
of course.
They're definitely on my hit list.
Yeah, no doubt. You're absolutely right. And it was a much better opportunity for you now. And once you accomplish some of the things that you want to accomplish in IBJJF and EBI, I think, you know, that'll kind of, not want to say lose its luster, but you're just going on to bigger and better things faster than most
For
people.
sure.
So, you know, you'll have the opportunity to move on. Now, it's got to be, you know, like I said, kind of crazy with all this coming on and happening so quickly. You're getting, you know, to a place where it's like you said, it's going to get harder to find opponents. Do you ever see in your future maybe going against a guy?
You know what? I will not compete against a grown guy because for many reasons. It was fun when I was like a teenager and a kid, but you know, I think you know, women and men are totally different. You know, they're totally different bodies. Like a man would definitely like be overpowering me. You know.
Sure. Sure, but
Um,
you know, I see that you've done it in the past, and that's why I wonder if ever in a super fight or something, you'd be like, you know, I'll go against a belt level below me or something, you know, some scenario that it might make sense.
you know, if you know, there's like this one tournament that does that stuff now. I forget what they're called. But they're thinking about doing like tag team matches, like boy and girl. You know, that's like not a bad idea, but like if I had to go against a guy and he's like, you know, men are stronger than women. That's the reality of it. And any girl that kind of disagrees with that, like they're retarded. So yeah, you know, I I probably, if I was offered to fight a guy, I'd probably be like, no, you're crazy.
Right. Now it leads me into the next question. How do you feel about some of the transgender stuff in them, you know,
Uh,
getting involved in sports, especially even at the high school
I
level?
I think I think it's stupid. I think anyone that supports that, you know, you're putting a dude can change his sex and then compete at women's sports. Obviously, he's gonna win because he was born a man. I think it's so stupid. Yeah, maybe I will support if they have like their own league or like, or they eventually say, hey, like, still you gotta compete with your own, I mean, it's kind of horrible to say, but these women train so hard to like for these sports, like track, for example, that's happening a lot in track, women's track, and like these dudes are like beating them. So that's kind of like crushing their dreams and their scholarships or like, rides to colleges. I've seen in wrestling, women's wrestling. There was actually like one girl when I was in high school, or dude, sorry, that was kind of transitioning, and he would like he was like beating all these girls, and I think that's when it started with this whole transgender talk. Yeah, it's definitely not cool to see. I would definitely be one of the people that would wish it could shut down.
Yeah, and I would say, I think it's fair to say in grappling and powerlifting, and you brought up a good point with the track and field type stuff. That's where it's the most glaring, and that's why I bring it up. And it's important for leaders like yourself to sound off and kind of say, here's where I stand on this, and you brought up a great point. They should probably have their own division or their own entry.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's out of line to say.
And it's like that's like someone's child or daughter out there trying to, just trying to win first place or like get a full ride to like some college, and then you get crushed by some dude that's that got changed to a woman, and then bam, crushes their dreams. It's just I've seen it. It's just really horrible. I don't know. Everyone has their opinions, but that's where I stand.
Yeah, and I don't think it's out of line. I think you made a couple of really good points, but particularly in those sports, it's super prevalent, and it's one of those things. Now, I want to ask. I know it's a little out of your space, but it's exciting to see. There's been a lot of talk about women's professional boxers coming over into the UFC because the UFC does such a great job with women. I think Dana does a great job getting the women out there and making them stars and promoting them and pushing them.
Yep.
That obviously gives you a little bit of a home field advantage. But what do you think about some of the women from different backgrounds, whether it be boxing and everything else, maybe Muay Thai, something else that's less exposed, coming into the UFC or potentially maybe coming into some of this Fight Pass stuff and some of these grappling matches? How do you see that kind of playing out?
I kind of make a couple of reasons. I kind of see it playing out in their favor and kind of playing it in mostly the UFC. Well, women's MMA. I think any boxer, any Muay Thai fighter comes in, martial arts, there's kicking, there's jiu-jitsu involved. They're gonna, 10, maybe 9 times out of 10, they're gonna lose. It's definitely good exposure for their sport. Like for example, like Clarissa. Big boxer chick. Same with Nunez, big name in MMA world. It's a lot of eyes. Like they both have a lot of following, but that matchup were to happen, it would be, it would go into Amanda's favor because jiu-jitsu and fighting is martial arts is this whole MMA is like a whole another world. It's not just one set of technique that you're focused on. But I think overall it's definitely good for women's sports, and like they're getting the attention that they deserve. More attention, sorry.
No, absolutely. And I think it's exciting because, as I said, the UFC, I feel, especially in the fight game, they do a great job with the women. There's no question about it.
And I was actually like speaking with a couple of promoters, and I was hoping for example, like Gordon Bo Nickel. Like I followed Bo for a while, like during when he was still wrestling for Penn State. I'm from Pennsylvania, so I've always watched Penn State matches and games. Just seeing that was like a great like. It was very good for all the wrestling people because they brought everyone together and watched their match. I was actually asking a couple promoters if they could put me and Helen like competing in match together. She's the first American woman with a gold medal. I think it'd be pretty cool to kind of interesting matchup. No one really called her out yet, but with all due respect, like guys can do it. Why not? Why can't girls?
Right. No, absolutely. I think it's amazing. It's just so much fun. It's a really fun time to be grappling. It's a really fun time to be involved in the sport. And I think you're hitting it the right way, and you're getting into so many different facets of it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What else do you love besides jiu-jitsu?
I love playing video games. I think I like traveling now. Uh, those are probably like my other two favorites. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I think that's like the other two things I like to do.
Did you get into Twitch yet?
I have. So recently, I just got Call of Duty, so I'm kind of like I just started playing it again because my brother, like I have two brothers, so they used to play the old one a while ago. So I'm just starting to get back into it. It's still hard. So I just got into Twitch again, but like I'm still kind of confused with like how to set up my profile or like keep the videos. This is why I like stuff I'm still learning. But I'm gonna start getting back to streaming again. It was a lot of fun interacting with different people.
Now, do you like shooting in real life?
I've only done one time, so I mean,
Jersey's a tough state for it, though. You know, there's
they're
just not a
very
lot.
yes, they're very tough.
It's super
But
strict.
I support all like carries. I support guns. You know,
The whole 2A movement.
pro guns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, no, it's you know, Twitch is a huge you know, levels the playing field, and it's funny you laugh about it, but like I know folks making 100 grand a year on Twitch. It's real. You
Yeah,
know, like
that's
that you can
yeah.
absolutely make a
Especially the
living.
girls.
Yeah.
Some of the girls do really good on there.
But if you notice, I didn't even laugh at it. People make a hell of a living on Twitch, and Twitch is a
No,
big
I
deal now.
no, it's like I'm kind of jealous because like one kid made what did he make 3 million off Fortnite like from a tournament. Like wow, that's jealous.
And that doesn't even include endorsements.
Nope.
So it's
But
nothing.
I actually never really played Fortnite. Yeah, so it's very gamers are definitely up there too. It's like making money.
It's nothing to sneeze at anymore. And I know people in the gun industry that are, you know, getting paid to do mag dumps in the desert, you know, so it's pretty crazy what it's become, and given opportunities to generate more revenue and create more income and give you the opportunity to chase your dream and do what you love.
Yeah, and hopefully once I start getting this Twitch thing going, I plan on like streaming more. I just have to learn how to like do it because I kind of, I'm not really good with these technology kind of things. But, like some of these people have like, green screen. They got like these donate buttons, a subscriber. Like they go all out. I'm like, how do you guys do that? Like what?
Yeah, you need a full tech department to do some of that stuff because it's like it's a job in itself.
Very good too.
Yeah, I mean you have to go online and use other resources to kind of help get it set up or bring someone in that knows how to set it all up. But it's work. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at now. It's like doing a podcast today. It's not like anymore like just grabbing a phone or a recording device and just going. You know,
have to have people are watching you play.
Yeah, you have to have a full-blown studio and have it all set up, and there's a lot that goes into it, and it's like punching in the clock.
Definitely one of my goals.
But it has to be, so much fun, but it's exciting to watch you do what you're doing, and it's a lot of fun to see somebody coming into their own. And I had the same conversation with Nikki. It's just fun to see somebody young coming into the game, crushing it, and having a lot of fun, and really kind of rising up to a level that you're kind of breaking the mold a little bit. You're doing something in a sport. Now, granted, there's been many women UFC fighters, but not a lot of women grapplers out there that have made the leap the way that you are into the scene and getting super fights, getting matches, winning, competing at a high level. And I think you're going to continue to do it, and you're going to crush it. How important is it to you to continue to kind of mature in jiu-jitsu and grow and get better at it? And is the black belt and this, reaching a certain level important to you, or is it just going through the motions?
Definitely the emotions. Sorry. I think sooner or later I'll get my black belt, but I kind of don't really care about the ranking or like what rank I am. It was like over the years, it was definitely interesting, and it motivated me to do better. Like when belts mattered before, I always wanted to like be a green belt, orange belt, blue belt, purple. Eventually, like today, and especially today's jiu-jitsu world, like belt ranks don't matter. There's like, there's blue belts beating up brown belts. There's like purple belts submitting black belts. It's not really that. It's probably more so like, staying better at jiu-jitsu and, still working on everything you need to work on. And, I still have a lot, to work on, especially my level. there's always going to be someone upcoming, that's going to beat you. So, I just like to just stick with like what I'm good at and then just work on it.
How many times did you quit?
Oh, I probably quit, after my mom passed a couple years ago. I quit jiu-jitsu maybe almost a year. Just because, I didn't really have like the right support system. I didn't, I was just very lost, and I was still in college at the time. So I kind of was confused, like, what to do. And like, I guess like, I did my first like world tournament, and like I was doing so well. And then after she passed, like my mind was like kind of shot. So I lost my first match at Worlds. So that definitely didn't help me out with like, staying motivated. So yeah, I quit for about a year, and then I was still with like a negative coach at the time. A lot of that was like involved. So, I got back into it, and then, surround myself with better people, and here I am today.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. Now, everything, on the internet is crazy, right? So people, we always say the internet's not real. It's just, it's your best part of your day. What is it about social media that you love, and what is it about social media that you hate?
Well, I definitely hate that social media only, people only post the highlights of their life. I love that social media, like, people can make a living off it. That's number one. Like, social media has done a lot for like with everybody and everything. I like that I can put myself out there, make myself well known, potential sponsors, for the jiu-jitsu world. It helps me a lot. And then, downside of it, like, there's drama, there's, people posting things that aren't really, like, you're kind of questioned. Those are like my two views about it.
Yeah.
So, I think mostly it does well.
Yeah, I mean, social media is a fickle thing. Now, you've done a great job with your social media and capitalizing on the ability, as you said, to make income. Do you look for sponsors, or do they usually just come to you? And what's the best way if a sponsor wanted to reach you?
I guess like both. Like recently, like they'll I actually have someone that'll like contact people, and I have like some others that contacted me. But a lot of sponsors nowadays, like, or quote unquote sponsors, or like you have companies that kind of like contact you, and then are like, oh, like we'll just give you like a free shirt if you post us for a month on your stories and your profile. And you're kind of like, all right, so you want me to give you all this attention, but yet what about food on my plate? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm always understanding on both sides. I understand companies have to make their money, but then the athletes have to make theirs. So you can't, you're going to give me a free shirt and then I got to put food on your plate. Like, no.
Yeah.
That was like me years ago, but now, like, I'm going to play smart.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, you have to get smarter, and you have to start to say no to some things, and you have to start to balance it out a lot better and understand what fits.
I definitely believe men in this sport probably get, offered more sponsors than women. It's so hard for women to kind of, get paid.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the stigma of, being a beautiful woman, and then at the same time being a grappler, and balancing posting and sharing and putting a lot of those things up. And I went through this the other day on the podcast with Jamie Villamore, who's a shooter. And there's a lot that kind of comes into that, because some companies, they want that, and some companies don't want that. And at the end of the day, you just have to kind of be you, right?
For sure. Agree.
So you just have to kind of do you and post and act accordingly and develop out your.
At the end of the day, like, you have to eat, so
you have to get
it comes
paid.
down to you, like you said. Yep.
Yeah. So I ask every guest this, especially the females. What's the creepiest DM you've ever got?
Creepiest DM. Honestly, there's a lot, but recently, I actually had the cute creeper ones that pose as women on Instagram, and it's kind of scary because, I had like this fitness girl, message me. It seemed like a real profile, but I should have like saw like the comments or the captions, but like, seems like a normal girl. It was on private, of course.
We call that the dark DM.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of creeper ones, but like like recently, like it was like this fitness girl, and she was messaging me. She seemed very innocent. She was like, "Hey, like how long have you jiu-jitsu? You know, my boyfriend I was trying to get my boy. When she said her boyfriend was trying to get into it, I was kind of this is when it started to get weird. So I was like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for this blah 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 whatever. And then she started writing this whole paragraph. I'm sorry, he started writing this whole paragraph about like, asking like she would write about like, I beat up my boyfriend a lot. I'm trying to get him to jiu-jitsu, but like, is it normal for me beating him up? Just weird fetish stuff. So I was like, all right, this is weird. And then I started like talking back, like, all right, are you some dude that like poses as fitness girls? Because like the questions like this happened like a couple of times. Because like yesterday or last night, this like blonde chick messaged me and she was like, Danielle, like, my sister got raped, this, that. And I'm like, whoa, first of all, that's weird. Because like, why would you post your, someone's personal issues like that? And then, once they start talking about triangles, talking about that, I'm like, this is a fake, dude. This is fake. This is so fake. So yeah, I have a lot of creeper ones like that.
Yeah. How do you see, it's just how it becomes monotonous. I'm sure. I never envy you ladies in that sense when you're getting, when you're getting the dark
Oh yeah, no,
DMs.
I mean, I'm sure like, I'm pretty sure like other women probably get worse because they kind of put themselves out there. Yeah, I like to think I'm very honest with people. But yeah, I think those are probably like my creepiest ones, especially when they pose as like girlfriends and then, try to get you to talk about, have you ever fought some dude? Have you ever like had to choke someone out? It's weird fetish stuff.
Yeah, and they're catfishing at the end of the day. It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
And it's amazing the lengths they go to and the pages that they create to do it. It's like, who has this time?
Yeah, and
Who
it kind
has
of
this
makes you
time?
wonder, like, who's this? Is someone like really? Do I know this person or just trying to pose as someone else? Like,
Right.
all these things run through my head. I'm like, it could be someone trying to stalk me. So weird.
Yeah, you have to be careful, and it's crazy. I could I could tell you
Oh
stories,
yeah,
but
I've had a stalker before. Like he would just show up at gyms, my friend's gyms, asking about me. It was really weird. He used to fight in UFC too.
oh my God.
Yeah, I don't want to put his name out there, but he's just I hope
I
he's like.
Yeah, I don't know how you ladies deal with it. It's really something else, but I ask it of every guest because some of the stories are really amazing that we've heard on the show, and some of them are really, nothing surprises me anymore. Let's put it that way. I'm not shocked by
Yeah, I
anything.
mean, not to. I definitely don't want to put people's names out there, but I definitely seen and like witnessed and had to go through like, when I was 15 years old, 14, I've had like, black belts try to hit on me. And, at the time there was a coach at the time that didn't do anything, but he knew about it. Like there's a lot of things that go on and, these people are so shitty. Like a lot of these things that happen, it's just, I mean, fortunately enough that black belt doesn't do jiu-jitsu anymore. So I know he got in trouble for something. So that's good that he's not in like the martial arts anymore. But very, it's very sad, like what girls probably have to go through, especially when they get into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and that's something as the sport grows that it's very hard to kind of keep wraps on everybody, every coach, every person out there, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be good people and bad people, right? So there's always going to be
sure.
those types of
There's a lot
folks.
of good people.
Yeah, and as you
I like to believe that.
yeah, and as you mature and you become a grown woman now, you're able to identify that type of stuff and maybe even help out some of the younger women
Yep.
in the gym. And I'm sure that you've done that, and you just have to kind of be like, listen, this isn't the way you want to do things, and this is how you participate in the sport in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, you could say like a nice way like that.
You can put it another way, but I try to keep it a little PC because it is bad. You're absolutely correct. And
I'm very like fortunate enough that I have people that have my back. If anything happened like that again, those guys probably wouldn't last. So, but yeah, we could say like, yeah.
You got a great crew around you for sure. But it's absolutely insane. I could never imagine what, like I said, you women deal with the DMs and everything. You just got to kind of turn it off, or sometimes have like the fake answer.
In fairness, it's not always women. Like, women aren't always good guys, like the good people. Like, girls do it too. Like, everyone, there's good people, bad people.
Oh, absolutely. it's kind of crazy. The door does swing both ways. And, I think
Yep.
social media just allows people, Danielle, to be honest with you, to have a certain comfort level with something that they shouldn't be comfortable doing, because they wouldn't do
You're
it to someone's
exactly, that's
face.
100% true. Yes.
So, again, it's so much fun talking to you and so much fun kind of catching up. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds for you. And I think you definitely give at a young age a lot of hope for women out there thinking of getting into the sport. I want to ask one last question. What advice would you give somebody young starting out 14, 15, 16, maybe a little bit of wrestling at the high school? What advice would you give them in not just choosing a gym or thinking of getting
Yeah.
into jiu-jitsu?
Well, getting to jiu-jitsu, don't party. You know, stay in school, train hard. If you get into jiu-jitsu, don't listen. Do what's right for you. When I was, I wish I knew what I knew now back then. Especially when jiu-jitsu was growing. Do what's right for you. Don't listen to, peers. Don't listen to, whatever feels right for you. I'm really bad at this stuff.
No,
I'm trying to put it all in one thing.
Well, you kind of did. I mean, you're absolutely right. Don't listen to
I listened. I think my biggest regret was listening to some certain people, and I almost got into military. I almost lost complete focus of jiu-jitsu, and I think me sticking with jiu-jitsu and doing what I did, not listening to listen to others. I got as far as I did right today, and surround myself with better people. So I think that's the advice I would give for sure.
Now, when they're choosing a gym, what do you suggest?
Tell them what gym to choose?
What to look for in a gym?
Good environment, good family friendly environment. A caring coach, someone that will go, ways. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many choices out there now that it's absolutely not
I
easy.
actually get asked that question a lot. It's kind of there's a lot of things to look for. There's some coaches that probably look for money. They don't care to coach you, but finding someone that goes that will look over for you and train you. It's just there's a lot of things that goes into it. And having a good team behind your back.
Yeah, and I think you made obviously the best choice by tracking down and finding Renzo Gracie's gym in New York. I mean, there's no question. But
I'm actually on their Silver Fox.
Oh,
but it's 20 minutes from Renzo's. Yes.
So, do you go over to Renzo and train over there regularly?
Recently, no, I haven't really been there since the summer. That's another long story. I'm saying I think early next year I'll start going back actually. Because a lot of people have been asking where I've been, but there was a couple of drama going on. But I've been going there for years, so I don't know why I stopped.
And I know the commute's brutal. Going from
that's one of the reasons. That's definitely one of the reasons for sure.
Yeah, the commute's brutal. It has to be brutal, but because Manhattan, I mean, it's no joke getting in and out of there.
Yeah, the parking sucks. The traffic. Yeah, that's you're not even talking about the bridge yet. That's probably the worst.
Yeah, that's a whole another story, especially with the weather lately. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to see, where you go with this next year. And I know it's not going to be easy for you, but nothing worth doing is, right? So you're going to have so much fun. Let everybody know, plug any sponsors you have and let everybody know where they can find you. And if they want to slide into the DM effectively or send you an email, what's the best way to do it appropriately?
If anyone wants to contact me, you can contact me through my Instagram, Danielle Kelly BJJ, along with Twitch, Danielle Kelly BJJ, and my sponsors, Red Bowie, CBD. Thank you, helps me with everything, my entries and everything. Albina Pretzel, very hard to submit.
Don't forget any. Don't forget any.
No, I know. I actually had a few. My recent sponsor, Fight for Women. There's a couple more. Oh God. Oh my God. I need my rash guard. That's probably it. And then my teammates. Yeah, and then you can find me on Facebook, Danielle Kelly.
Now, like I said, the last thing, if somebody wants to contact you, what's the best way to do it and have it not be creepy?
Through my Instagram at Danielle Kelly BJJ.
And just keep it appropriate. So
yes.
I appreciate you.
Or you can contact me on email.
Now you have your email on there too, right? You can hit contact.
For sure. Yeah. All my Instagram.
Yeah. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's not easy. You were commuting, you were eating your Chick-fil-A. It's not easy. So I appreciate you taking the